Morning friends, welcome to Amritsar. So we the sleeper bus arrived in Amritsar an hour and 25 minutes ahead of time. Frankly, I could have done them driving a little more slowly because I was having a nice sleep. But still, got to the hotel and unfortunately I couldn't bag it because I don't have any rooms available to check in very, very early. That's no shakes. So I've decided to walk the streets and head toward the Golden Temple. So, followed my nose a little bit and ended up at this rather awesome Sikh shrine. You may be asking about my head covering. As you know, I'm not really a hat guy, but in much the same way as Muslims take off their shoes to enter a mosque, Christians take off their hat when you walk into a church, and Jews cover their heads when they come into a church. The Sikhs do 2 out of 3. Cover your head and take off your shoes and your socks. Really quite fun, actually, and I felt very welcome as well. Some very curious looks from the ladies singing at full volume into a PA system. And the nice holy man beckoned me over, used, hold on, water. Used rather good sign language to tell me what to do, because it may shock you to know, but I don't know much about Sikhism. It's one of the reasons I'm here. But so bow to the shrine and the holy man sitting there reading scripture, walk around it once, and then accept some food. It's this, I don't know, sweet semolina, kind of just in your hand that you eat. Nice of them to feed you when you come to pray. But yeah. Anyway, I'm off to try and find the Golden Temple, see if I can do that before dawn. Right, so close to the Golden Temple now. It's actually very busy for this time of the morning because it's 7:30. I've been walking around for a couple of hours now. But I indulged myself and bought myself a Western Star coffee. It is really good, but it was extortionate for this area. Just to give you an idea, it was 150 rupees. It's about $1.50, I guess, and my sleeper bus for 6 hours last night was 650 rupees. Anyway. So, upon entry of the Golden Temple, there was a very serious security guy frisking people. Big guy, my size. Long beard. Stern gaze. I guess that's why he got the job. Then, upon entry to the precinct itself, I was faced with several large signs saying photography and videography completely forbidden. And I was a bit sad. Not for me, you understand, because I'm here. But for you. Then I noticed about 100 people taking photos and videos. So I figured it's okay. Anyway, I'm going to come back here and do like a fairly reasonable historical rundown. Really today was more about just seeing the Golden Temple in the morning light at dawn, because there were probably a couple of thousand people here. The Golden Temple is the holiest place on earth for Sikhs. Right. So, as I mentioned before, I am on the lookout for a scarf, an Indian scarf. I still have my krama and my Ethiopian scarf that Gashor gave me. But I'd like an Indian one for when I when I start dressing for hot weather, because right now I'm just dressed pretty much how I would be for Britain, really. Oh boy. Just get out of the way of these nice people. I think we have a quite large group of Sikhs. Anyway, but this is not the place. This is tourist tats for both massive groups of Sikhs coming to see the holy place. No word of a lie, I saw a guy in full traditional garb with a very impressive curled mustache and a beard. And I was walking past him just as I had left the holy precinct and taken off my head covering and put my shoes back on. Traditional outfit, and he pulls a Sons of Anarchy bandana out of his pocket and puts that on. I had to laugh, man. Anyway. Right, so I've successfully walked around for about 3 hours now. I'm gonna head back to my hotel and see if they happen to have a room that's been redone, ready for me, and at which time I will have a nap. Walking here under a rather large highway, like it's Chicago or something. What a fun morning. As it turns out, I have half an hour to wait, so 9:30, which is very nice of them, considering that check-in is supposed to be 11 o'clock. No complaints. Evening, friends. So, having arrived in Amritsar, happily spent a few hours going straight to the Golden Temple for dawn. Getting back, doing essential things like washing everything I've been wearing. So, jeans, jumper. God, they're annoying to wash, hand wash. But anyway, so that's while that was drying, I had a nap because obviously I had, I don't know, 4.5 hours sleep last night. And then I got up, sorted myself out, and I'm now following my nose and doing what I always do, really. Getting nearly lost. Anyway, so walking uphill, came to a rail barrier that pedestrians, cyclists and moped riders were all just hopping underneath and crossing because it's a very long wait for the train to turn up. So I followed suit, walked slightly north from there, and then decided to take a right to kind of head parallel to the road on which I'm staying. Forgive me, I'm kind of watching my step here because I'm walking along a railroad. Walking along the train tracks. So, took a right. Then, as it turned out, running parallel to that was the rail line, which made sense. It was just open, and quite a few people are around. And so I'm kind of heading in the vague direction of my hotel along the rail tracks, which is kind of fun after the hustle and bustle. Anyway. You know, no, I know that I'm good at this, but even so, I've been walking around like Pac-Man for about an hour and a half. And I pulled out my phone to take a photo and figured I'd check if Google Maps knew my location. And I was exactly where I thought I was. It always makes me happy. Anyway. Good morning, friends. So, having a fairly quiet day today. It's Sunday. I arrived yesterday morning, as you know, very early, went to the Golden Temple. And since I might be here for a couple of weeks, I'm meeting a friend who I met in Barcelona a couple of years back. She contacted me because she saw my videos, and she's in town to Amritsar for a yoga retreat. And she arrives this coming weekend. So it's possible that I'll be either in Amritsar or in the local area for a couple of weeks. So I'm taking Sunday to just walk around, have some food, relax, and enjoy myself before working tomorrow. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's a warm day. It's a little bit muggy. So I'm kind of in half tropical wear. I'm wearing an ultralight t-shirt and my traveling shirt with jeans and boots. So yeah, so I'm just looking for a good place to have breakfast. The place I'd scoped out was closed, but we'll see what we can see. Apparently, this is an international visa agency. Let's have an elephant. Right, bit of a tactical error there. So, since my last video there, found a local place for breakfast. Just some butter roti and a couple of snacks. Pretty traditional local breakfast. 90 rupees. So what, 80 pence, I suppose? Then, strolling along, figured I'd like a coffee. I saw a sign for coffee, a fairly innocuous doorway, and up a fairly innocuous set of stairs into an uber swish cafe. I know I've never been that guy who can kind of just say nope and just leave. Seems rude. So sat down and had an iced coffee. That was about 3.5 times as much as I paid for breakfast. It's a little bit dumb. will. So my concept for the day was get a tuk-tuk out to what from me was a fairly far out area, about 11 clicks, something like that, and then walk back, amble back, enjoying myself and turning down little side streets as I always do. I'm still working on my traveling legs after Christmas, and so I figured a 10 kilometer amble was just what I needed on a Sunday. Right, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm nearly back, a couple of 100 meters. That was 11 kilometers, and I still have all of my tea and half of my water left. So, pretty good. It is a madhouse down here. Now, when I can do that fully loaded, that's the test. Anyway. Hey friends, so I've had dinner and I'm just wandering the local market looking for dates. Actually, I ran out of dates this morning. I bought like a kilogram, not that much, 700 grams of dates in Srinagar, and I adore dates. When you can get good dates and for a half decent price anyway. So no luck on the dates. There are, as you can see on the other side, fruit stalls. I picked myself up some kiwi fruit, some oranges for the morning. Yeah, good times. This city is not designed for peace and quiet.